Hi everybody, this is Robert. I want to give you just a quick preview of the first chapter of our textbook by Kemmerer and Sansom. The first chapter of the book sketches out the outlines of the educational system in California and how it came to be formed. It's a little dry, but it's a very essential chapter. Kemmerer and Sansom start by telling us just what kinds of law there are. Specifically, there's the law of the Constitution, both the federal Constitution and the state Constitution. Then there are laws themselves which legislators make. Those are called statutes. There's an entire body of administrative law that's grown up over the decades that impacts school, particularly in the area of special education. For those of you that have ever heard of a fair hearing in a special education situation, the rulings that come out of those fair hearings essentially create administrative law, and think of it as less powerful than an overall Supreme Court decision, but nonetheless they become binding on schools and school districts. Contract law also enters into the equation a little bit. As you know, we do have contracts in our setting. And then finally, the part of the law that is personally most interesting to me is the judicial law, which comes to us from court decisions. The system of school organization in California is different. It's a little bit unique. And what you discover is that there are 50 states and there are 50 systems. Now, this course is really only going to focus on the California system. But for instance, I have family in the state of Florida. And Florida organizes everything around counties. So there are county boards, and that's it. Whereas here, we localize to a much smaller level. So one of the things, though, that you should pay attention to is a chart on page 17, which aims to describe the relationships and responsibilities between the governor, the legislature, the superintendent of public instruction, the California Department of Education, and the California State Board of Education. You know, they have this ongoing push-pull relationship that essentially defines what we end up doing and implementing in public schools. So it's an interesting challenge. I would also suggest that you read closely page 23. Page 23 doesn't have a big heading or anything to itself, but page 23 describes the role and responsibilities of the principal. It describes the various competing forces that the principal is beholden to. As a principal myself, I'm responsible to my school district. I'm responsible to a site council. I'm responsible to the local political environment. I'm, of course, responsible to try and do things that comport with the law. And what you come to discover is that there are a lot of forces pushing and pulling and doing things to you when you're the principal of a school. It's very interesting. The other thing that would surprise a lot of people is just how little permanence the principal has. They can replace me tomorrow if they want to. And I know some of you may have experienced that in your schools or in your own districts. Finally, the chapter gives you a little bit of information about the private school setting, about homeschooling, and a little bit about charter schooling, which we'll probably talk more about in depth later on. I have a daughter who is a teacher in a charter school, and so I have an interest in those schools and how they operate. But that's it for now. We will hopefully see each other on our computer screens Wednesday night at 6 in our Adobe Classroom. Till then, happy reading, and we'll catch up Wednesday night. Bye-bye.